Follow the rest of the story and subscribe.
The day I found out I was pregnant, my husband Brandon's secretary Jenna posted a photo of her baby bump on Instagram. The caption read, "As long as you're loved, you can still be a beautiful girl, even when you're pregnant." In the picture, she was wearing nothing but lace lingerie, leaning into Brandon's chest while they took a selfie. His hand was resting on her bare swollen belly. On his finger was the exact same wedding ring as mine. Part 2. He opened his mouth, ready to say something, but I didn't give him a chance. I walked around his car and got into a cab across the street. What I didn't expect was for Brandon and Jenna to follow me to the restaurant. My client hadn't arrived yet, but the two of them sat down across from me like it was perfectly normal. I stared at them in disbelief before cutting straight to the point. "I'm meeting with Mr. Anderson from Gem Technologies." Brandon raised an eyebrow. "Did Mr. Anderson say he didn't want to see me?" I kept quiet and didn't argue. After all, Brandon was still my boss. During the meal, Johnson Anderson instructed his assistant to open a bottle of expensive wine. I frowned, remembering what the doctor said when I scheduled the abortion. "You've already had one miscarriage from the car accident, and your uterus was severely damaged. The fact that you're pregnant again is a miracle. If you lose this baby, you may never get another chance." I pressed my lips together, about to politely decline the wine when Jenna chimed in with a sweet smile. "I've heard Sylvia can really hold her liquor. Can't wait to see it in action." She looked wide-eyed and innocent like she had no idea what she was doing. My expression went cold as I asked her, "Who told you that?" Jenna's smile froze, and she glanced nervously at Brandon. "Did I say something wrong again?" Brandon patted her on the head and turned to me, his tone icy. "Sylvia, it's just a glass of wine. Don't make a big deal out of it." A chill crept through me. Meeting his indifferent gaze, I forced a smile and spoke clearly. "Mr. Lewis, I can't drink, because I'm pregnant." Everyone at the table froze. Jenna was the first to recover. She quickly masked the look in her eyes, standing up to raise her glass to me. "Congratulations, Sylvia." As she brought the glass to her lips, Brandon immediately stopped her. "Jen, you're pregnant too. No drinking." For once Jenna didn't listen. "No, I have to. Ever since I joined the company, I've upset Sylvia so many times. This drink is my apology." She grew more emotional with each word, tilting her head back and downing the wine in one go. Her face flushed red instantly, and she started coughing violently, tears welling up in her eyes. Brandon's face twisted in frustration as he shot up from his seat, pointing at me. "Is this what you wanted? Only someone as gullible as Jen would fall for your lies. If anything happens to our baby because of you, I'll never forgive you." I barely looked at him, my voice flat. "Do whatever you want." I turned to Johnson, muttering a quick apology before heading out the door. Brandon's voice followed me, full of anger. "Sylvia, I've had it with you. You've got a problem with everything Jen does. If you can't deal with her, maybe we should just get a divorce." That caught me off guard for a second, but I quickly shrugged it off. We'd been married 5 years, and in all that time, he never once made our relationship public. Now, just to make me back down to Jenna, he was finally admitting it. I stared at his face, handsome but distorted with fury, and nodded. "All right, let's get divorced." Without another word, I walked out. After leaving the hotel, I called my divorce lawyer. Mid-conversation, a sudden blinding light flashed in front of me. A car was speeding straight toward me, out of control. Panic shot through me, my legs went weak, and I stumbled backward. Just when I thought it was over, the driver slammed the brakes, swerved, and sped off. I was left sitting on the ground, shaken. A girl passing by rushed over to help me. Her hand barely touched my waist when she gasped, "Oh my God, you're bleeding so much." I looked down in a daze, finally noticing the large pool of blood spreading around me. At the hospital, the doctor asked me to contact a family member. I clutched my phone, staring at Brandon's number for a long moment, before deciding to call my lawyer instead. I couldn't forget the license plate on that car. It was the same as Brandon's. We'd chosen that number together. I stayed in the hospital until noon the next day. While I was there, Brandon sent me one message. "Jen's ceiling is leaking, so I'm taking her back to our place." I knew right away it wasn't from him. It had Jenna's fingerprints all over it. When I got home, the door code didn't work. As I was about to try again, the door opened from the inside. Jenna stood there in my apron, smiling brightly. "Sylvia, you're finally home." The old code was too hard for me to remember, so Brandon changed it to my birthday. "Come in, I'll get you some water." She welcomed me like she owned the place. The smell of food drifted in from the kitchen. She ran to the doorway and called out, "Brandon, Sylvia's back." Brandon stepped out, wearing the same couple's apron I'd bought for him. He used to say it was too childish and refused to wear it. Now that I saw him in it, I thought he looked ridiculous. He glanced at me briefly and said softly to Jenna, "Go rest in the bedroom for a bit." Jenna nodded, grabbed a bag of nuts and snacks, and disappeared into my bedroom. It was just me and Brandon now. His expression hardened. "So, you finally decided to come home?" I ignored the accusation in his tone and asked calmly, "Jenna, is eating nuts?" I remembered when Jenna first got pregnant. I'd made her a special meal, and I'd sprinkled a few nuts on it. She'd had a severe allergic reaction, and Brandon had lost it on me. Brandon frowned, clearly confused. "What are you talking about?" It was obvious he didn't remember. I wasn't about to explain it. "Never mind." He didn't push, just looked me over. "Anyway, go freshen up. It's Jen's birthday, and I've booked a private room at the karaoke bar. Just keep it light on the makeup, okay? Don't outshine the birthday girl." I shot back without thinking. "I'm busy. You guys go ahead." Brandon frowned, irritation flickering in his eyes. "Jen already told her friends we're throwing her a birthday party. If you don't show up, it'll be embarrassing for her. Look, I know you're feeling jealous because she's young and can have kids, but it's not Jen's fault you can't get pregnant. Why keep competing with her? Here's the deal. You celebrate her birthday tonight, and I'll grant you a wish later. You can pick anywhere you want to travel. I hesitated for a moment, then smiled and said, okay. That evening, I put on my best makeup and arrived at the KTV room right on time. When Brandon spotted me, he was momentarily speechless. He walked over and took my hand, looking a little awestruck. Jenna's expression shifted slightly, but she quickly regained her composure and introduced me to her friends, acting all graceful and charming. Her long-distance boyfriend lounged in the corner, lazily blowing smoke rings as if he were the king of the room. A waiter wheeled in the 3-tier cake Brandon had ordered for her, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. As she made her wishes, Jenna clasped her hands together, her smile radiant and serene, like a princess. I have 3 wishes. First, Brandon can't call me a little troublemaker anymore. Second, Brandon can't ignore Sylvia because of me. Third, I wish I could pass my easy pregnancy genes to Sylvia so she can have a baby for my brother soon. Just as she finished speaking, my bag slipped from my hand, and a piece of paper tumbled out. Brandon picked it up, and when he saw the words post-abortion care instructions printed on it, his face went pale. Sylvia, what's this?